This is the Second Chance at Health podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brad Hassig. Come join me as we remove confusion from the hottest health topics by discussing the latest research, along with what we've seen with thousands of our patients and amongst our community, family, friends, and people all over the nation and world. Let's dig in. Welcome to the Second Chance at Health podcast with Dr. Brad Hassig. This is episode number 31, the gut-brain connection, healing from within. Today's focus is going to be how your gut and your brain are intimately connected and how healing from within can transform your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So before we get going any further, please go ahead and hit that like button, share this with your friends, and please leave comments below. Proverbs 17:22 says, "A cheerful heart is good for medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones." So keep in mind as we're going over this, God designed our bodies to work as an integrated whole. Physical, chemical, emotional, and spiritual healing are often deeply connected. Proverbs 18:14 says, "The spirit of a man will sustain him in sickness." 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit?" And Mark 2, verse 5 through 11, Jesus often healed both body and mind. So what is the gut-brain connection? You may be hearing about this. This is something that's really hot in science, maybe hearing about this in social media, and this is something that's going to be very, very important now and going forward, especially the stuff that we've gone through, the last five years or so, and some of the aftermath and choices that were made and debate that we've had. But the gut is often called the second brain due to its complex. It's called the enteric nervous system. You have the central nervous system. You have the autonomic nervous system, which is going to be your fight or flight response, and then what brings you out of that, which would be your rest and digest. And then the other part is your enteric nervous system, your stomach. It's something else that you don't have to think about it. It just automatically does it. The vagus nerve connects and links the brain and the gut, and it sends signals in both directions. So your gut is communicating with your brain's communicating with your gut, and a lot of brain development, a lot of neurotransmitters, chemicals, things going on in your brain is importantly impacted by what's going on in the gut. Over 90% of serotonin is made in the gut, and that is key for mood, anxiety, and sleep. So when your gut is inflamed or out of proper balance, your brain and your mood will suffer. It's not a matter of if, it's when you're going to have these problems. And a lot of this stuff is chronic, things that, I hear this all the time with patients. I didn't have any problems with this until, and a lot of times it's in your 30s, 40s, and sometimes even later, but that's when it starts catching up with you. And at a certain point, you start to have problems with some of these issues. So, what are some of the things that can disrupt this gut-brain connection? Things like stress and anxiety, anything that's going to affect that vagus nerve. It's going to reduce your digestive secretions. We'll start to talk about, things like antibiotics and medications. Overuse of those things will wipe out the healthy gut bacteria that we're all supposed to have and change the way that your gut functions. You look at things like processed foods and sugar, way too much sugar. That's going to cause dysbiosis or malfunctioning of your gut and causes inflammation. Then we look at things like leaky gut, intestinal permeability, and what that does. You're supposed to have a closed barrier. Certain things aren't supposed to be able to get into your bloodstream. What happens when you have leaky gut, instead of having those tight junctions, it starts to get loose. And things that should not get into your bloodstream start to do that. Your body starts to attack these. Your white blood cells are going to attack these things. And it remembers. your body will, your immune system, your T cells, your B cells are going to remember these things that they've had to attack. So that's where you start to build up these food allergies and things. It's not actually that the food's the problem. It's that it's getting into your bloodstream when it shouldn't. That's what leaky gut is, and that's what actually causes a lot of those types of food allergies and irritations and inflammation. Then you look at things like toxins and pathogens. Think of molds, chronic mold exposure, parasites. Whether you know it or not, everybody's got parasite issues. And then we look at things like heavy metals and things that we're all exposed to: mercury, lead, arsenic, fluoride. That's in a lot of our drinking water. All right, so what are some of the natural solutions? One of the first things that we're going to talk about is with diet, one of the easiest things you can do. If you know me, you know I'm a big proponent of the carnivore diet. Getting a lot of the carbohydrates out of your system, that's going to be one of the easiest things. You've got to stop feeding the bad bacteria that's in your gut. Candida, that's something I've struggled with over the years. As a teenager, you have acne and you're taking different things for that. At that point, antibiotics, tetracycline, amoxicillin, sulfa drugs, Accutane, all that good stuff tears up the gut, and that can lead to things like candida overgrowth, E. coli, and some of the different dysbiosis that you're going to have with that. So one of the easiest things you can do is have an anti-inflammatory diet. Now, I like to say with this, let's look at ranges of things, and I've discussed this before. Look at something that you're willing to do. So not everyone is going to be willing to do something like carnivore or lion diet where you're just eating meat and salt. I get that, okay? Look at things like paleo diet. You've got to get the carbohydrates out. I'm sorry, let's just shoot what it is. You're not going to be healthy if you continue to eat that stuff. If you're going to just nonstop eat pasta and bread and all the sugar you want, this is just what I like, you're going to be unhealthy. You're going to be sick. You're going to be unhealthy. Keep in mind too with this, when we talk about that gut-brain connection, chronic issues with this start to lead to things, cognitive decline. We're talking dementia and Alzheimer's. So once again, if you're going to say, hey, I'm just going to eat this stuff, I don't care, you're going to have problems at some point with this. I used to be a lot nicer about this. I've seen this affect family, friends. It's just get serious about this and take control of it. So look at things like paleo. It's probably the easiest one that's going to get a lot of those carbohydrates out of there for you, processed foods. Then you get into keto. Then if we're looking on the spectrum, then you look at carnivore, lion diet, those types of things. That's going to get a lot of that out. Even if you just do it for a period of time, I think it's a great elimination diet if you're not going to make it a lifestyle. Then slowly add things back in. Let your gut heal a little bit. One of the things that they're really going to lower carbohydrate diets and lower processed food diets are going to help with is stabilizing insulin. When you stabilize insulin, then you're not going to have those blood sugar fluctuations. The higher blood sugar issue is what's going to feed things like candida and E. coli in the gut. So we want to starve that stuff. What you've got to do is, and I'm going to go through some different steps. There's some supplement protocols. So there's a couple different ways. I love CellCore. We work with CellCore with our functional health patients a lot. It's great. They go through different steps with this. Step one is drainage and energy. They're going to use some different products to try and make sure that you're draining, think lymphatic system, think of your liver, your kidneys. Make sure they're draining properly before you start killing stuff off. Then you're going to have gut. Step two is going to be gut immune support. That's when they're, like I said, trying to kill some things off. And then also binding it and then getting it out of your body. Step three is, systemic immune support. And then step four is going to be whole body detox. So it really helps to support with your microbiome, your restoration, toxin clearance, and brain clarity. Then another system, I love Standard Process, and I just went to a seminar on this that was absolutely fabulous. They've got some great protocols that can help with. Part of it is to improve digestion, almost everyone's. When somebody's like, what's the quick first biggest bang for your buck. If there's just one thing you can start with, there's a product they have called Zypan. Zypan is incredible for digestive support and helping your HCl levels. Let's talk about real quick people that are on antacids. A lot of times with processing foods, or people that aren't processing them properly, it is not because you have too much acid. That is the biggest lie that the antacid companies love to tell. Keep taking it and tell me how your gut helps. Oh, it's not helping. I'm taking all this, and you keep increasing the dosage of it, and it's not helping. And guess what? A lot of times it's getting worse. Oftentimes, and in most cases, it is from having too little acid. Let me explain how this works, okay? You need acid to be able to break down foods like proteins and fats, even getting into carbohydrates. What happens when there is the pyloric sphincter? So when people worry about acid reflux, and they're like, it seems counterintuitive to take more acid or try to increase the acidity of your gut when you're having those issues. You need stomach acid, okay? And so when there is acid, it closes that sphincter so it doesn't allow stuff to come up. If you don't have enough acid in there by taking antacids, which is going to raise your pH, not only can you not break down the food, it's going to leave that sphincter open, and that's when things are able to go up, getting into the esophagus. That's where you're going to get that heartburn. So, top thing, Zypan, quickest, easiest. We have that in the office. You can contact us or go online, HassigChiropractic.com. We can order that for you. If you got questions, always happy to do consultation with that. There's some other products that they use. AF Beta Food's going to help you break down fats. Then we look at some of the different brain. There's different types of brain support products that we can use. Things like Neurotrophin PMG. Bacopa is great for medium to long-term memory. Ginkgo is great for short-term memory. Then we have different things that can calm the nervous system if your brain's kind of overactive. Stress, anxiety, Mintran, Minchex are really good for that. So, but I love with the approach that they take is to go in, kill things off, rake it out, and then once you've got those things out, then to repopulate it with the stuff that you want. They've got a tremendous prebiotic, which is almost like a mother's breast milk and is really good. So they've got some great products for that. I highly encourage you to look at those things. Start with your diet first to try and see if you can naturally heal. Many people are beyond that. So then that's when you're going to need some supplementation to help with that. There's some great research on this. Harvard Health had a study, and it talked about a troubled gut can send signals to the brain, just as a troubled brain can send signals to the gut. A 2015 study in the Journal of Neurogastroenterology showed that gut bacteria affect those neurotransmitter levels, which can influence mood, sleep, and brain activity or cognition. And there was one more study, 2017 study in Nature of Microbiology, gut microbiomes. They communicate via metabolites that influence inflammation, immunity, and mental health. So this is a thoroughly documented and researched connection. Like I said, this is really kind of cutting edge. They're seeing a lot of stuff. Gut health is so important. We clear this up. We clear a lot of things. Like I said, mood, brain fog, energy, just drive, thriving in life is so important. So just remember, you don't have to live in brain fog, anxiety, and having stomach or GI distress. Healing the gut can transform your entire life. Proverbs 27:19 says, "As water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart." So begin small, reduce processed foods, prioritize sleep, consider natural detox and digestive support, and let God pray. Let God heal you from the inside out, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. The above, down, and inside out approach, the body that made the body or the power that made the body heals the body. God wants you to be healthy, but you've got to do something about it. You can't keep doing the same stuff. It's kind of like with debt. You can pray to God all you want. Hey, bring me financial blessings. But if you're going to keep squandering what you have, He's not going to give you more. It's the parable of talents. He will take away from the ones that are squandering what they have. Same thing with health. If God's giving you this and you're squandering it, He's not going to give you better and better health. You've got to be active. You've got to take charge of what you're doing with your health. So, just a reminder with this, if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and comment on today's topic. CellCore and Standard Process products are available through our office. Please reach out, HassigChiropractic.com. You can get started. If you've got questions about where you should go with this, please feel free to schedule a consultation with me so you can get a personalized plan on restoring your gut-brain health with this. Just remember, healing begins with the gut, but wholeness begins with the heart. And in 3 John 1:2, beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health just as your soul prospers. I hope you've enjoyed. Share this with your friends. Take care.